all clear. This is all clear. What are you all talking about? All clear? What is all clear? What are you? All clear? What are you? You what? What are... I will not fear. I will not back down.
Holy shit, sah das gerade creepy aus.
Sweet Korekio, calm yourself.
Okay. Sag bloß, ich hatte recht. Und er ist wirklich ein Mädchen.
Their words are all hollow. There is no meaning to any of them.
What?
You must teach these ignorant children a lesson. Yes, you're right. Okay, I'll teach them.
What the hell are you mumbling about? You're giving me the goddamn willies!
Not yet. Nothing is clear at all. It's full of doubts, of mysteries, of a dense, impenetrable fog!
Es würden jetzt eher alle für ihn voten. Ach du Scheiße, Alter, wie viel kommt denn davon? Duct Tape. Ich sage jetzt schon, das ist das.
And then carried into the research lab? Impossible! Impossible! That's nothing but a delusion! You intend to poison our minds with your delusions?
It's no delusion. Angie's 2 external wounds tell the story. After she was struck in the empty room, she was carried to the art research lab and then killed.
You say the culprit carried Angie's body? And not a single drop of blood fell? The hallway and empty room had no bloodstains.
Huh? Habe ich das Falsche geschossen? Ja, das muss doch richtig gewesen sein.
You say the culprit carried Angie's body? And not a single drop of blood fell? The hallway and empty room had no bloodstains. Even if you wipe them down later, there'd still be traces of evidence left behind. But there was no evidence anywhere, was there, Shuichi?
Ah, das muss ich. Ja, logisch, ich habe aus Versehen auf das Falsche geschossen. Ich wusste nicht, dass es 2 Stück gibt. Ja, das stimmt ja tatsächlich.
There'd still be traces of evidence left behind, but there was no evidence anywhere, was there, Shuichi?
I'll cut through your words. There was evidence left at the scene. The bloody tape under Angie's body.
What?
It was wrapped around her head to stop the bleeding while she was being carried.
Bloody tape? Gonta didn't notice at all.
It was under the body. It's most likely evidence the culprit should have gotten rid of. But since it was hidden, the culprit didn't notice and failed to dispose of it.
It must have fallen as the fatal blow was dealt and ended up under her body.
It must have been Atua who did that for us.
What? Atua? How long are you going to keep that up?
Now we know most of the mystery behind Angie's murder.
I'm convinced there's only one person who could have killed Angie.
Ja, wer wohl? Ich denke, es war Tsumugi.
It has to be you. It's you, Kyo. You killed Angie.
What the fuck? So it's true.
Well, that was obvious. Such a boring, obvious answer.
You killed both of them. Why? Why did you kill them?
In terms of pure logic, only one victim was necessary to win.
Why? Why you killed them both?
I think one of the murders was an accident.
An accident?
That's right. It wasn't part of the plan.
Huh? Which one?
Ja, Angie. Also, den anderen hat sie ja so lange geplant.
Angie's murder was an accident.
What? Tenko wasn't accident?
That's right. Kyo originally planned to kill someone with a seesaw trick. But while he was making preparations in the empty room, Angie walked in. So he decided to kill her in order to keep her from talking.
She just happened to walk in on the culprit setting up and was killed.
Then he should have just stopped there. Once he killed Angie, there was no reason for him to kill Tenko.
You only needed to kill one for this game. Killing two is pointless. If you get bonus points for killing more, then sure. Otherwise, it leaves more clues behind.
Why, Kyo? Why you kill two of our friends?
What on earth are you talking about? No, I'm not the culprit. So why is everyone looking at me like I am? Why? Why are they? Why is it? Calm yourself, Korekio. Yes. You mustn't raise your voice. You mustn't stutter. You mustn't lose composure. You mustn't become flustered. You mustn't waver. Look at their horrid faces. This sorry lot is not worth agonizing over. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
There he goes again. What the hell's wrong with him?
It almost seems like he's talking with someone. Someone? He's just talking to himself. And why the hell is he wearing lipstick?
No matter how loudly you protest, this is a trivial matter. I will never acknowledge your allegations. Not a single one of them. For you see, there is no evidence that I killed Angie. No, I will not acknowledge it. I will only acknowledge facts, true events. I won't acknowledge fiction, mystery. I won't acknowledge your deductions or guesses. Well said. Good job, Korekio. Yes, thanks.
Creeps me the fuck out!
Oh ja, mich auch. No evidence. There's no evidence that he killed Angie.
You're wrong.
There is.
There is evidence.
What? You do realize bluffs like that won't work, yes?
The weapon that was used to knock Angie unconscious in the empty room. That weapon tells us the whole story, Kyo.
That's not possible. I think you may have misunderstood. Apologize. Come on, apologize. 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 Come on. Apologize. 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 Apologize.
Seriously, what the hell's happening?
I have no idea what's happening with Q. But I know what weapon he used on Angie. I have to prove it to him.
I have nothing to admit.
Moment, wie ging das noch
You are
gleich?
simply wrong.
Ah ja,
Yeah,
der hat wahrscheinlich wieder richtig
I'm
scheiße
the
geworden.
culprit.
Ich würde mir gerne das Bild von ihm da schön anschauen.
I have nothing to admit. You are simply wrong.
Ah, ich bin so schlecht.
Yes,
Ah, ich bin doch echt
I'm
scheiße,
the
Alter.
culprit. So I have nothing to confess. I have nothing to admit.
Ah, das muss ich
You
halten.
are simply wrong. Yes, I'm not the culprit.
Das ist so ein typisch japanisches Ding, das finde ich mega geil.
Your logic. That's merely a delusion. Well said,
Ah, shit.
Korekio. To continue this debate is meaningless.
Ich bin so scheiße.
Why must you force your delusions on us? Your logic. That's merely a delusion. Well said,
Ah, shit.
Korekio. To continue this debate is meaningless. Why must you force your delusions on us? Your logic? That's merely a delusion. I told you I am not the culprit. So why are you looking at me like that? You're all wrong, not me.
Oh shit,
Correcchio
das war
speaks
knapp.
the truth. Such a sorry lot. Apologize. 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 I told
Ah, fuck, ich
you
hab die
I
falsche
am
Taste
not
gedrückt.
the culprit. So why are you looking at me like that? You're all
Ja, hab ich gar
wrong,
nicht.
not me. Correcchio
Shit.
speaks the truth. Such a sorry lot. Apologize. Apologize.
Ah, fuck.
Apologize. 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 Apologize.
Nein, Mann.
I am not the culprit. So why
Hä?
are you looking at me like that? You're all wrong, not me. Correcchio speaks the truth.
Was soll ich denn wissen, wann das kommt? Ich hab's sogar geschafft, lol.
Apologize. 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 I told
Ich hab doch
you
gedrückt.
I'm not the culprit. So why are you looking at me like that? You're all wrong, not me. Correcchio speaks the truth. Such a sorry lot. Apologize. Apologize.
Ach, ich bin doch so behindert, ey.
Apologize. 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 I told you I am not the culprit.
Der wird natürlich nicht komplett
You have
ausgezogen.
No proof that Correcchio is the killer.
Moved. Warte, nee, removed. Verdammt, nein, ich hab's falsch rum. Moved reflower. Fuck!
I told you I am not the culprit. So why are you looking at me like that? You're all wrong, not me. Correcchio speaks the truth.
Okay, jetzt hat er aber.
You have no proof that Correcchio is
Removed
the killer.
floorboard.
It ends here.
Oh mein Gott, Alter. Man hat ihn wirklich ausgezogen.
Keo hit Angie with the same floorboard used in the seesaw trick.
I see. And how do you know the floorboard was the murder weapon?
There was a small patch of dried blood on the underside of the floorboard.
Angie's blood?
Blood that spattered there when the culprit struck Angie with the board. But that's not the only evidence that she was hit with that floorboard. There's also the bloodstain under the floor to consider. For that to be there, the floorboard must not have been in place at the time of the attack.
Macht Sinn.
Good point. Had the floorboard been in place, her blood wouldn't have splattered beneath it.
Keo's earlier confession is further evidence that the floorboard was used.
How?
If the weapon used to hit Angie is the floorboard from the seesaw trick,
It means the culprit knew about the seesaw, so the same person killed Tenko and Angie. I believe that while Keo was setting up the seesaw, he was holding the board when Angie walked in.
And he cold-cocked her with a floorboard.
all you can do now is accept it. You even confessed to Tenko's murder already.
So it's true. This is the truth.
Looks like we're almost at the end. All right, Shuichi, I'll leave the finale to you. Bring down the house.
Juhu.
Ichi, please, put an end to this. For Angie and Tenko's sake. End this class trial.
I understand. I'll go over everything one more time. Keo, I want you to confess. No, I will force you to confess.
Jetzt kommt das Coolste. Das Puzzle. Oh, das sieht echt nice aus. Who was the culprit with the saw in the empty room? Ach ja, wie ging das überhaupt nochmal genau? Okay, wir haben Remove the Golden Leaf Katana, wir haben Stuck Duct Tape, wir haben Sliding Lock, Sickle Place to Kill und The path made with thought. Ja, und hier noch was. A small stone Himiko brought. Weapon to kill Angie haben wir noch nicht. Effigy was stabbed haben wir auch noch nicht. The handle of the spinning katana. Hit the sliding lock. Das haben wir. When Angie's body was found, who unlocked the door? Das war Kokichi, aber das haben wir noch nicht. What object did Tanko rest? Das ist der Stein, den wir hier haben. What weapon did the culprit set up on the iron cage? The sickle. Sickle, wo haben wir sie denn? Ja, da ganz oben. Who besides Kokichi was responsible for executing? Das haben wir noch nicht. Who was the culprit able to move around the dark? How was the culprit able? Salt. Wo ist das Salt? Hier. When the culprit approached the cage. Ja, das andere ist alles vom Anfang. Also, wir haben. Who was the culprit with the saw in the empty room? The weapon. Ja, hier ist die Weapon. Stuck duct tape ist hier. Und remove the golden leaf katana. Okay, jetzt haben wir ganz viele neue. Kokichis lockpicking ist hier. Shuichi extinguishes the flame. Stabbed effigy. Footsteps. Jetzt müsste am Ende erst sein, ganz am Ende. Hier. Jetzt haben wir noch 2 Stück. Hier ist eins. When the culprit approached to the cage. Ja, genau, das. Und das letzte ist dann ganz am Anfang.
This is the truth of the case. Let's look back at the first murder. It was late last night. The culprit was in the empty room on the 4th floor. The culprit was preparing the seance murder they had planned. To use the floorboard as a seesaw, they had to cut the crosspiece supporting it. The plan was to make the same preparations for all 3 empty rooms. This would divert suspicion away from the culprit and whoever picked a room. To cut the crosspieces, they needed a saw. I imagine they got one from the warehouse. They were planning to cut the crosspieces in all 3 rooms. However, when the culprit was working on the middle room, the unexpected happened. Angie walked into that room and saw the culprit making their preparations. She needed some fire for the ritual and had gone to the room for a candle. At that point, the culprit had not finished the setup and was just cutting crosspieces. Angie might not have concluded that it was tied to some kind of murder plan. But now that Angie had seen it, the culprit couldn't use the seesaw trick. Any other person might have just given up, but not our culprit. The culprit took the floorboard they loosened and struck the unsuspecting Angie in the head. culprit did not want to give up on their plan and had to improvise. They wrapped duct tape around Angie's injury to stop the bleeding. Then they picked up her unconscious body and carried her to a research lab. While she was unconscious, the culprit hurried to tie up this loose end. But because they were in a hurry, they made a crucial oversight. They didn't notice the duct tape had peeled off and was under Angie's body. Without that evidence, we may never have figured out the culprit's trick.
Hätten trotzdem alle für ihn gewotet.
Carrying the supplies they needed, the culprit returned to the ultimate art lab. Locked the front door from inside. And took out the katana they brought from their own lab. They then stabbed Angie in the back of the neck, finally killing her. Then, to further confuse us, the culprit attempted to make a locked room mystery. First, they used rope from the warehouse and hung 4 effigies upside down. There were 2 reasons for this: to overwhelm the room with an occult atmosphere, and the other was the key to locking the room. The culprit stuck the katana into Kaede's effigy near the rear entrance. And spun the effigy around to twist up the rope. After enough turns, the culprit let go and headed for the rear door.
Schöner Blick von oben.
Once released, the effigy began spinning, and the gold leaf katana with it. The handle of the katana then hit the sliding lock, locking the door. A difficult trick, but remember that the lock was so loose it moved at the slightest touch. The culprit also would have had the opportunity to attempt it many times. Once complete, the door was locked, but the duct tape was left behind. Perhaps the culprit noticed it, but by that point, it was too late. The room was sealed. There was no way for them to get back inside. Then, this morning, we opened up the room and discovered Angie's body. But the culprit wasn't finished. They wanted one more murder. To do that, they manipulated us into performing this seance. Of the 3 empty rooms, the middle one was chosen for the seance. I was invited by Kokichi to take Kibo's place in the seance. Tenko volunteered to be the medium, but she never imagined it would get her killed. To perform the seance, the culprit claimed they needed something for Tenko. A small stone that Himiko had brought from the courtyard. Tenko, at the culprit's request, bowed her head until it was touching the stone. That position was instrumental in making sure the murder went as planned. Next, Kokichi and I placed the iron cage over Tenko in the middle of the magic circle. The culprit then volunteered to drape the white cloth over the iron cage. We didn't realize it at the time, but that was a deliberate decision by the culprit. They needed to set up the murder weapon that was used to kill Tenko. While they were covering the cage with a cloth, they secretly placed the sickle. Finally, 4 of us placed the wooden statue on top of the cage. The culprit used the weight of the statue to keep the murder weapon in place. After the preparations were complete, we began the seance. In complete darkness, we each stood in one corner and sang the Caged Child song. When the song finished, the soul of the dead was supposed to enter the medium, but our culprit had another plan: to commit a murder in the darkness. Right after we started singing, the culprit began making their way toward Tenko. It would have been quite difficult to do in total darkness, but our culprit had a guide. They used the lines of the magic circle drawn with salt. The culprit felt...
Sorry.
And when the culprit reached the center of the circle, they found the floorboard that had its crosspiece cut off the night before. Then lifted up their foot and stomped down hard on the floorboard. The floorboard lifted up like a seesaw and pushed Tenko's body up toward the ceiling of the cage. Tenko was stabbed in the back of the neck by the sickle on the top of the cage. She was killed right before our eyes, and we didn't even see it. After committing the crime, the culprit followed the salt back to their corner, finished the ritual, and had us light the candles. We followed the culprit's directions and removed the equipment used for the seance. And discovered Tenko's body. And while we were all focused on the body, the culprit picked up the sickle and dropped it under the floor through the hole in the corner of the room. Ironically, the final step of the murder was unwittingly carried out by us. The culprit had planned the murder so that we would unintentionally destroy some evidence. That evidence was the magic circle that the culprit used to navigate in the dark. However, the culprit didn't know that Kibo had taken a picture. He really saved us. Without that, we wouldn't know what changes were made to the circle. But now we know for certain, and we know the culprit drew the magic circle. Korekio Shinguchi, the ultimate anthropologist. You're the culprit behind these murders.
Das war ein langer Fall.
That's where my detective work leads us. It all fits.
Sweet Korekio. There are times when it's necessary to admit defeat. Admit? Yeah. Okay.
So you finally admit you did it?
Unfortunately. Yes. Yes. It's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. My one regret, my only regret, was not being able to make 100 friends.
Was? Ist es nicht irgendwie so ein 100 Freunde Macher? Das kenne ich aus irgendeiner Serie oder so.
100 friends?
It was my dream to make 100 friends. Oh, it's so unfortunate. I was so close to 100.
What are you talking about? I do not understand a word of this.
Who gives a fuck? Let's vote for this kooky bastard and be done with this already.
Roger that. One voting time coming up.
The heart racing excitement as
The heart racing excitement.
As the blackened and the spotless finally face off. It's voting time!
Wer voll ignoriert wird, ey. Ja. Wo ist er denn? Da ist er. Finde ich cool, dass die dieses Voting-Ding diesmal mit eingebaut haben.
Now then, it seems the voting has finished. Let's see the result.
Hat er auch selbst für sich gewotet? 1, 2, 3. 9 Stück. Warte, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ich zähle 9 Streifen. Das heißt, wie viele Personen sind wir noch? Es fehlen 6 Stück. Ne, da müssten wir doch eigentlich 10 sein. Hat er einfach nicht gewotet oder was?
Who will be chosen as the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one?
Okay, ich war aber übelst scheiße, ne? Naja, immer noch A. Ich bin erstaunt, das wird relativ nett bewertet, aber... Also, ich habe echt scheiße gewotet, teilweise. Ich bin zweimal Game Over gegangen, das ist allein schon scheiße genug. Seriously, you're correct again.
Absolutely right.
Amazing, this is the 3rd time verdict in a row.
All right.
If you manage to get 12 correct verdicts in a row, you'll proceed to the bonus round. How is this gonna last that long?
For now,
It's finally over.
No.
Not yet. I haven't heard his answer yet. Why? Why did you kill Angie and Tenko?
right.
He no need to kill them both, no matter what motive he have.
Oh?
Motive? Did your motive have something to do with the transfer student who was resurrected? Even if it did, though, how did that trigger a murder?
Hey!
Don't tell me, were you actually scared of the resurrection ritual, Kaito?
Shut up!
Shut up, I never said I was scared. The resurrection ritual had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it? Because we're friends, I'll tell you, I never once believed in the ritual. I would never kill someone over such a silly thing as that.
What?
So it has nothing to do with the motive?
Eh?
Then why?
Yes.
For the one that I love. Ich glaube, das ist tatsächlich das erste Mal, dass das Motiv nicht das Motiv ist. Also das von Monokuma gegebene Motiv nicht wichtig ist.
There is someone that I love.
From the bottom of my heart, someone so dear, someone I long for.
I love her with all my heart. And she loves me with all her heart.
Scheiße. Oh Mann, das sollte jetzt eigentlich voll die dramatische Szene oder so sein, aber das sieht richtig behindert aus. Ich weiß ja nicht, was das genau darstellen soll. Ich meine, klar, soll das irgendwie so eine Art nicht Romeo und Julia, Adam und Eva Dinge sein, oder warum sind die... Ach, keine Ahnung.
Yes, we vowed an endless love to each other, forever bound by fate. None can come between us. We are bound by an intense love, no matter what anyone says.
Ja, der war ein nice Arsch, muss ich sagen.
What?
Bragging about your perfect love life. Fuck you, some of us aren't that lucky. So to see this lover of yours, you had to escape?
Don't tell me.
That's why you killed Angie and Tanko? But why do you need to kill both? If you asked if I did it to escape this place, my answer would be no.
Wonderful.
Because I have no need to escape this place. The one I love is inside. Inside?
Wait!
Don't look at me, I'm not his lover.
Yeah.
Calm down, no one would want a disgusting shit-stuffed bitch like you anyway.
Kersploosh!
Alter, das ist auch neuer Sprite, oder? What the what?
Hey!
Kyo, who is it? Who is the person you love?
Hey,
Is it really one of us? When I say inside, I do not mean inside this academy.
You see,
I mean inside me.
sister.
Yes, the one I love lives inside me, my dearest sister. Sister? Alles klar. Incest. Sister?
Wait!
Don't look at me, I'm not his sister.
Right?
Well, duh, if you were his sister, he would have killed himself already.
Wait!
Your sister? But didn't you say she was your lover?
Whatever is the matter?
It is not that difficult. My sister is my lover.
I loved her so deeply. And she loved me so deeply.
No physical connection steht da oben links.
The fact that we were siblings meant nothing to us. They called it forbidden love, but none could stop the love we shared. Oh, how I long for my sister's warmth. The only time I felt at peace was when I was enveloped in my sister's warmth. For my beloved sister.
I had to.
Always messing around.
You had to escape from here, right?
No,
No, I had to kill for her.